Alright, so the president of Burkina Faso will soon be. As of the 4th of April 2025, he has already survived about 18 assassination attempts, but they are not going to stop anytime soon until they get it done. So yes, it will soon be killed. Now, I will tell you how I arrive at this conclusion. I'll play some videos for you so that you understand what is going on.
Approval and consent to deploy troops and deploy all necessary armaments as requested.
Over the violation of Burkina Faso's airspace after a Nigerian Air Force aircraft carrying 11 people was forced to land in the country.
The AES just sent a very strong message to Nigeria. I mean, not only Nigeria, honestly, the whole continent. So a Nigerian Air Force plane entered Burkina Faso's airspace without authorization.
Said its military was closely watching the situation because of the risk of it spreading across the border. Later, the Nigerian Air Force entered.
But yeah, I'm still calling on Africa and Africans, especially Burkina Faso citizens, to stand by Ibrahim Traore at this point.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Plan B TV News Gist and Blog. Today we have gist for you guys. When we make videos about Benin Republic and Nigeria troops invading or going there to rescue or save the country, sovereignty, whatever, all of you know the story behind what happened. Now, when I went through the comment section, some people will say, oh, Tinubu did the right thing. Tinubu just proved to the world that Nigeria is the giant of Africa. While others were saying, how can Tinubu run gun ablaze in another country, but cannot do same to secure his nation? When I read the misreactions in the comment sections, I was perplexed. But now, we are going to give you guys the part 2. Do you guys know that Nigerian soldiers, 11 of them are currently being detained in Burkina Faso for another sovereignty nation violation, like going to another country without authorization? Anyway, in this particular video, I want you guys to stay with it step by step. While you guys are giving credit to Nigerian soldiers for falling down or clapping down the coup attempt in Benin Republic, the documentary from our Rise TV News. But okay, before we get with the whole story, I just want you guys to stay to the very end and see what Burkina Faso did to Nigeria. But first, I want you guys to watch this particular video of our Rise TV News on how they make the documentary, what happened in Burkina Faso, what they did, and I want you guys to watch.
Benin Republic is stabilizing after a failed takeover attempt on December 7, when a group of soldiers briefly seized the state broadcaster and claimed to have removed President Patrice Talon from office.
Saluer le sens du devoir de notre armée et de ses...
The event sparked alarm in the capital, Cotonou, with residents reporting gunfire near key government buildings. Loyalist forces intervened, arresting several soldiers and bringing the attempt to an end.
Les dernières poches de résistance des mutins.
I would like to commend the sense of duty of our army and its leaders, who have remained Republican and loyal to the homeland. With them, we stood firm, regained positions until we cleared the last pockets of resistance from the mutineers.
Repris les positions jusqu'à nettoyer les dernières poches de résistance des mutins.
This commitment and mobilization have enabled us to defeat these adventurers and avoid the worst for our country. This wrongdoing will not go unpunished.
Before the takeover ended, Lieutenant Colonel Pascal Tigre, a senior officer in the armed forces, and other soldiers involved in the coup, announced the suspension of the constitution and urged citizens to follow a new direction for the country. The government later confirmed that 14 people had been arrested, including several active duty soldiers. As the unrest grew, Nigeria, Benin's neighbor, said its military was closely watching the situation because of the risk of it spreading across the border. Later, the Nigerian Air Force entered Benin's airspace to help government forces regain control of the state broadcaster and strengthen security in the capital. The failed coup has drawn attention to Benin's political climate. President Patrice Talon is set to leave office in April 2026, with his party nominating former Finance Minister Bomwad Wadani as its candidate. Tensions rose when opposition candidate Renaud Agbojo was disqualified by the Electoral Commission after failing to secure the required number of sponsors.
A coup in Benin is something that surprised me. We don't need that. We thank the army for doing its job. Nigeria helped us a lot in the assault against the mutineers. I think that's a good thing. What remains now is how to correct this state of democracy. We are in a democratic state and our soldiers should stay out of power.
Regional bloc ECOWAS condemned the takeover attempt, pledging support for Benin's constitutional order. The African Union also issued a strong statement, urging all parties to respect the constitution, warning that any military interference in political processes violate continental norms. While the immediate threat has passed, the attempt revealed rifts within the armed forces and weakness in Benin's institution as the 2026 transition approaches, raising doubt about the government's ability to handle growing political pressures.
Now, when you watch this particular video, you want to say, oh, Nigerian soldiers are very strong. You know, a lot. You know, there are always misreaction in everything. No matter what you do, no matter how good you are or bad you are, there are people that will still support you. There are people that will still kick against what you are doing. Now, I watched this particular video of Barrister Darlington from VOP, what he said about Nigeria and the way Nigeria invasion, that's what he called it, that Nigeria president bypass every protocols to go to Benin Republic, to show his commando styles and none of that, and I want you guys to watch.
Our president now, they want to change the constitution from 5 years to 7 years. And you are eligible for 2 terms. That means you stay in office for 14 years. Only you. That was what this military boss said, no, we can't take this. The 5 years they were doing it before, what happened? Mr. Okoro, what is it that you cannot do in 5 years that you need another 2 years to add to it before you can do it? Look at the mentality of African leaders. Just look at the mentality. A whole 5 years, you couldn't do it. You now want to add 2 years again. So that's what will happen. And I'm sure by the time you get that 7 years, in the next election, you push it to 9 years until you get to 10. Just childish behavior for an adult. So when you are doing all these things, do you think that these francophone countries, and if you check, they are the ones that are carrying this thing on their head. These francophone countries, they are impatient too. They don't have time for all this to you and I are speaking here, say we are from Anglophone. They don't have time for all these things. The moment you misbehave, they will send you packing. That's their behavior. But here, we will continue to talk. Meanwhile, the people we are talking to, they are not listening. They are not even showing any remorse. Let me tell Nigerians and every other person that care to listen, I hope the intervention of Tinubu is not what I'm thinking.
What are you thinking?
This Senate that the APC is now 2/3. I hope this constitution they are amending, they are not trying to do something that will cause problem. Let me say it now, because this is what to do in the Republic of Benin. Let it not be quid pro quo. So that when our own will happen, those two will come and intervene and help us.
How would they help us when they couldn't stop their own? How would they help us?
Because they will help the man over there. That's what I'm saying. They are helping the man over there now. So he will lend the support. Even when we are saying we don't want it. So let it not be that somebody wants to amend our constitution. No. Because these 2/3 that is the Senate have collected, they can approve anything. It's just for the president to open his mouth and say, this is what I want. Let nobody be amused with what happened in the Republic of Benin. There are motives behind it, but you and I may not realize it until later. That is when it will manifest. Because I don't see why your house will be on fire.
What's the motive?
You say what?
What's the motive? You're saying
there's
a constitutional change in Nigeria.
No, it's politically motivated. And you will see it later. Because this Macron that came in and all that, you will see. I just pray my ancestors will disappoint me in this my
prophecy.
I just pray. Because this APC, they are capable of anything. This APC, they are capable, because they are afraid if they lose the election, the incoming government will come and open up their rump and we'll see what they have done in office. So they wouldn't want to leave.
I'm just wondering.
Want to leave.
How come it was after the coup was squared that, look, France is now willing to collaborate in Nigeria?
That's what they want.
Because all these while they have stood aloof. Anytime the president visits there, what we get is, memorandum of association on oil exploration and mining and all of that. But at the point, he talked about military collaboration, but he didn't receive that kind of spotlight until after this incident.
The Macron himself had to call the president to talk about that. So one is beginning to wonder if it's you do my bidding, I support you, if it's that kind of a thing.
Of course, Tinubu has become their errand boy. Both Donald Trump and Emmanuel Macron. Abi? Yes, now. He's not their errand boy. Yeah, whatever they want.
He's our president.
He's our president, and it's democracy.
Are you serious? This one that America is telling him who to appoint, who to remove, what to do and what not to do. Abi?
Barrister, how do
is
you
it not
know?
part of it?
How do you know?
How do I know what?
It's just collaboration.
Hold on. What? That's not how to collaborate, please.
They are sharing intelligence.
That's not how they are dictating what they want. They are telling you what they want for them to help you. And you are saying it's collaborating for what? If they have done the right thing, will anybody even interfere in Nigerian affairs? No, please tell me. If you have done the right thing, will anybody? So, as far as I'm concerned, no.
Now, when you watch this, it is a big insult on Nigeria that the Nigeria president did not follow the full right of the protocols to go to Benin. What was meant to save or as a rescue is now called invasion. But they said, according to the whole news, you watch it, that it did not seek permission from the Senate. You know, Nigeria is very good in manipulating anything that have to do with politics. They are the top notch when it comes to manipulations, corruptions, in anything that have to do with politics. Nigeria is so good with it. When the whole news were out there, everybody is calling on the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Oh, why would you go to another country and invade it? Oh, this is not a rescue. This is an invasion. This is this. They were calling it. Why did you not seek permission from the Senate? This is what the Senate now did. Akpabio, nobody was there. Akpabio alone, just as you are seeing, Akpabio alone now sat down and said, we now authorize President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to go to Benin Republic. Those in support say yay. Everybody say yay. They did not show the people that say yay. Nobody were there. Those that say no should say no. Nobody say no. The yay have it. He knocked the hammer. And I want you guys to watch.
Will the Senate now confirm the actions of Mr. President in the deployment of the Air Force and troops to Benin Republic to ensure peace mission and restore order and sanity in that country, thereby saving Nigerians from thousands and thousands of refugees and also saving Nigerian borders from unnecessary criminality and disruption of peace and stability. Those in support of the confirmation of the approval say aye. Those against say nay. The approval is hereby confirmed.
Now, when you watch this whole video, you will see that only Akpabio were there to quickly rubber stamp what Tinubu did to cover up for the president. Okay, Manuel Macron sent your president message, your president did what he did, and stuff like that. Now, let's go for the part two. The part two of the story, which makes me to do this video, is not because of what you just watched, is the Nigeria 11 soldiers that are currently being detained in Burkina Faso. Some people said, oh, it is not detained. Oh, it was just a mere technical error, flight landing. So they are just doing, so there have been misreaction. The really tough misreaction regarding to either detain, intercept, or the arrest, or it's just the normal stuff, like it's not detained, they just landed there, they are currently heading back home. But that is what we're going to be dealing. First on our news is Arise TV, on how Arise TV on their own narrated the whole story to the world, and I want you guys to watch.
Turn our attention to reactions trailing the accusation leveled against Nigeria by the Confederation of Sahel States over the violation of Burkina Faso's airspace after a Nigerian Air Force aircraft carrying 11 people was forced to land in the country on Monday. In a video message, Mali's Minister of Security read out a statement by the Confederation of Sahel States condemning the violation of its airspace and the sovereignty of its member states. The Confederation described the incident as an unfriendly act carried out in defiance of international law and aviation rules and threatened to place its air and anti-aircraft defenses on maximum alert with authorization to neutralize any violating aircraft. It is made up of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, which formally exited ECOWAS in January following military coups and suspensions from the bloc. The Confederation says the Nigerian aircraft had an in-flight emergency in Burkina Faso's airspace and had to land, but the Nigerian plane had no authorization to fly over their territory. Now, 11 Nigerians are reportedly held in Burkina Faso, yet no official comment has come from the Nigerian Air Force or the federal government as we speak. I don't know if you have seen any official statement, because that's what my producer is saying at this moment. So what's the official statement?
Okay, so the official statement is signed by Air Commodore Ehimen Ejodame, who is the Director of Public Relations and Information. He had actually clarified what you already highlighted. So that was the official statement that they said they were on their ferry mission to Portugal yesterday, 8th of December. And following takeoff from Lagos, the crew observed a technical concern which necessitated a precautionary landing in Burkina Faso, which was the nearest airfield at the time. They also made it clear that this is in accordance with standard safety procedures and international aviation protocols. They also highlighted the fact that the NAV crew is safe and have received cordial treatment from the host communities. So, I mean, what we had said earlier on is that this is a statement, official statement from the Nigerian Air Force, and then there are stories around that they are being detained. According to this statement, they are not being detained. They've received cordial treatment, and it was based on an emergency landing. Some of us have been in situations where planes developed issues or passengers on the flight had issues for commercial flights. In this case, it's a military flight where you have to find the nearest strip to land. And this is what has happened. And I think for now, I'll stand with the official position of the Nigerian Air Force until proven otherwise. But this is what they have released this morning.
Okay,
I've watched what Arrest TV said. While I was still doing my own personal research regarding to this, because I cannot just take one clip and give you guys, I came across this particular lady and I saw what he said.
The AES just...
The narration that she gave caused my attention, and I said, okay, I will go, I can work with this. And I said, okay, my people, let you guys watch what really happened.
The AES just sent a very strong message to Nigeria. I mean, not only Nigeria, honestly, the whole continent. So a Nigerian Air Force plane entered Burkina Faso's airspace without authorization. Now for the AES, that was a direct violation of their sovereignty. So what did they do? They forced the plane to land, detained the 11 soldiers on board, and seized the aircraft. But here is the part most people don't know. This airspace tension didn't start today. It has been building for months. So after the military takeovers in Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, ECOWAS slammed heavy sanctions on the AES bloc. And one of the toughest sanctions was this. ECOWAS ordered all member states to close their airspace to the Sahel countries. Nigeria enforced this sanction more aggressively than anyone else. They shut their skies completely. Nigeria backed the blockade 100%. So, what did the AES do after that? They retaliated. They announced that ECOWAS aircraft are also banned from AES airspace. So if ECOWAS sanctions are still active, why would a Nigerian military aircraft fly over AES territory without proper clearance? You see, from the AES perspective, it feels like double standards. You closed your airspace to us, but you expect to fly inside ours. You know, Nigeria, a country that championed ECOWAS airspace blockade, entered their skies with no authorization. And that's why the reaction was so aggressive. That's why they detained the soldiers. That's why they placed their air defense system on maximum alert. And that's why they warned that any unauthorized aircraft could be neutralized. So this is way bigger than one flight. This is about all sanctions, closed skies on both sides, broken trust, and regional power struggles. So the AES message is loud and clear. Respect our sovereignty the same way you expect us to respect yours. Thank you all for watching this video and stay tuned.
Now, she narrated all of this. I also want you guys to watch what Mimi Nyakinge said. The breakdown, the protocol, everything that happened, how he played that from the beginning to the very end, what they call it. And this particular video of Mimi Yankee Girl will expose you guys to the truth, what happened, and I want you guys to watch.
So 4 different narratives are completely on record regarding the Nigerian Air Force C-130 aircraft that landed in Burkina Faso. And for the sake of truth, all versions must be heard together. So let's separate them clearly and show how they now connect. So let's begin with the coup attempt in Benin. So in Benin Republic, a group of soldiers tried to overthrow the government of President Patrice Talon. Soldiers attacked key locations. The state TV was briefly taken. A message was broadcast claiming power had changed. Later, the Benin government said the coup failed. So some soldiers were arrested, but not all the coup plotters were caught. Now listen, this part is important because some of the coup factions are still at large. That means Benin is still technically on security alert. And that takes us to the second part. The second version is why Nigeria entered Benin. So after the coup started, the Benin government reached out to Nigeria for help. Nigeria responded fast. Nigerian fighter jets entered Benin airspace. Troops were deployed. Surveillance and security operations began. Nigeria said, "We are helping our neighboring government stop a coup and prevent chaos near our border." Later, ECOWAS also supported the operation as a regional security move. So from Nigeria's side, this was assistance, not invasion. But from outside, once foreign troops enter another country, some people see it automatically as an invasion, whether they were invited or not. And that is why Nigeria is now seen as an invader in some regions around Africa. This brings us to the third version, the 11 Nigerian soldiers in Burkina Faso. How did they get there? So now in a completely different incident, something happened almost at the same time. A Nigerian Air Force C-130 aircraft was flying from Lagos to Portugal. Mid-air, the crew noticed a technical problem and landed at the nearest airport in Bobo-Dioulasso in Burkina Faso. On board were 2 crew, 9 passengers, totaling 11 military personnel. This is according to the Nigerian version. So the Nigerian Air Force said it was a technical fault. The landing was for safety reasons. The crew were not detained. They were treated cordially. The aircraft will continue its mission after all checks. So Nigeria says no violation, just safety. The Alliance of Sahel States, which consists of Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali, said something different. They said the aircraft entered Burkinabe airspace without authorization. It was forced to land. The 11 soldiers were taken into custody. It was a violation of sovereignty. So, leading to AES placing its air defenses on maximum alert, and also warned that future violations may be neutralized. So AES says it's not just safety, it was a violation. That's why people become confused. Nigeria says technical, AES says unauthorized military entry. Both sides are standing by their versions. After all this, another unusual thing happened. In Niger, the military government issued a custom directive saying all goods coming from Nigeria must be fully offloaded and strictly inspected. This they say is for security reasons. This means Niger suddenly became more suspicious of Nigerian movement across borders. All incidents connect, and here is a connection. Benin coup attempt happened. Nigeria entered Benin to stop it. Because some coup plotters are still free, Nigeria's military presence continues. AES already distrusts ECOWAS and Nigeria. Then a Nigerian military aircraft lands in Burkina Faso. AES sees it as possible military intrusion. Niger reacts with border-level security tightening. So what began as a coup in Benin has now spilled into a regional tension involving Nigeria, AES, and somehow ECOWAS. But the truth is in the middle. Nigeria may genuinely be telling the truth about a technical aircraft problem. AES may genuinely be acting on security fear and distrust. Niger may simply be reacting with external caution. And Benin is still unstable because not all coup plotters were arrested. But now, what does this mean for Benin? Well, right now, Benin is in a fragile position. The coup attempt has been stopped, but not all the plotters have been arrested. That means the threat is contained, not fully eliminated. The country is still in a high security phase, watching for any regrouping or retaliation. At the same time, Benin's main external defender, Nigeria, is now facing formal accusation from the alliance of Sahel states over the aircraft incident. Benin has stopped the coup, but it has not yet escaped the crisis. And now that its main protector faces regional accusation, Benin must stabilize itself while standing inside a divided West African security map. It's the truth at a time. Take care and have a nice day.
Having said this, it is time for me to give my own personal review. In collectively, what is going on in Africa? Presently, Tinubu is currently working with the president of France, which is Emmanuel Macron. Now, remember that Emmanuel Macron is currently being pushed out of Africa by this coup d'etat and those countries that they colonized. And this is not something that him also will just accept because they have lived, survived with the resources of these people from Africa. In fact, every country that they colonized, every country that France colonized, their presidents must stay in power till they die. Go and look at almost all the countries. They have the oldest presidents so far that have ruled for 40 years, 30 years, 18 years. Sometimes when they die, their children take over and that's it. As long as the resources is coming from that country to France, France will solely happy. Whatever that happens in that country is none of their business. So Russia, on the other hand, have been doing everything possible to clamp down to rescue those Africa, and that have caused a lot of misreaction. China also is not excluded in none of this that's going on in Africa, especially when it comes to the insurgency, the ISIS, all those things that is happening. Everybody making Nigerian or Africa of their resources. That's what they want. They cannot survive with those resources, either your Neptune, uranium, your diamond, your gold, your crude, whatever that Africa has, this Western world needs it. In order for them to do it, one will want to come as if they're helping you. The other is coming as if maybe they're fighting those that are imperial over you, the real colonial masters and none of that. But at the end, it still go on one direction. They need your resources. Now, if you watch carefully, this president, according to the news that you guys have watched, that he wants to be president for good 7 years instead of 5 years. Now he wants to increase it to 7 years per 7 years to make it to be 14 years. This still clap down to the rest presidents that have been in power that don't want to leave. And these presidents are not doing so well. Now let's push that aside. How did Nigerian soldiers land in Burkina Faso? Remember recently, it was Emmanuel Macron, the same Emmanuel Macron that called the president of Nigeria to ensure that that coup is not successful. Nigeria president bypassed every protocols to go to Benin Republic to rescue the president, Patrice Talon, to make sure that that coup was not successful. And as well, the same France that have been heading, that said they just recently signed a new contract with Nigeria, they now saw their military plane in another country's sovereignty and without permission. In all the 36 states in Nigeria, there was no airport for you guys to land. In the nearest neighbor country, which is Benin Republic, there was no airport for you guys to land. It was not Burkina Faso that France has been trying to dismantle for decades because of the coup. That's where you guys now intended to land. And I say bravo. In case you guys have not watched the backlash between France and Burkina Faso, and I want you guys to watch a clip of it.
He also insulted all Africans.
I think they forgot to say thank you to us. It's not a big deal. It will come with time.
There is a part that caught my attention where he talked about ingratitude.
Gratitude, I am well aware, is a non-transmissible disease to humans.
He is human. Our ingratitude is not transmissible to him. This is how this gentleman sees Africa, sees Africans. We are not human. In his eyes, I think that if he is not an atheist and he prays, every morning when he wakes up and prays, he should also pray to the Africans. Because it is thanks to our ancestors that there is a France today. He should pray to us.
gift that Berlin Conference gave us. One other thing that France did between 1958 and 1961 in the name of giving us our independence as African countries. France forced the Francophone, and I hate that terminology. There is no such thing as Francophone, Anglophone. They made it up. But for the purposes of communication, I will use that. 14 of those countries, they said, in order for you to get your independence from us, you must sign this document. You thought they could have found a better name for the document. The document was called the Pact for the Continuation. I repeat, the Pact for the Continuation of Colonization. We are talking about giving you independence, but sign this pact for the continuation of colonization in a different format. And I'm going to highlight some of those issues that they said you must agree to if you are going to be independent. Hello. Maybe we need to redefine the meaning of independence for the French. First, France said, you see, you monkeys, you don't know how to manage your money. We're going to demand that you deposit 85% of your bank reserves with the French Minister of Finance. Under the French Central Bank, under the control of the French Minister of Finance. France is then going to take your 85% bank deposits from each and every one of you. Deposit those funds in the French stock market under the French name. And you may or may not know the returns. Today, as we speak, the latest figures are saying for every 14 billion that France invests in the stock market from Africa, they are realizing upwards of 300 billion in return. Every year in, year out, because of these deposits from the African countries, France is taking out of Africa over $500 billion. Now figure it out. For every 14 billion, the returns on the investment are over 300 billion, and they are taking over 500 billion. So in actuality, France is taking out of Africa trillions of dollars year in and year out. From us poor people, Africans. Back to the pact. So should you want to access some of your money that you have deposited with France, you have to submit your country's financial returns. And if approved, you get to get it as a loan. You can only access up to 20% of your money year in, year out as a loan at commercial interest rates. Your own money. As if that was not enough. They said all your minerals discovered, yet to be discovered, all your oil discovered, yet to be discovered. France and French companies have the first right of refusal. If there's anything left over that the French companies do not want, your people might have. To this day. They said you will only use the currency that we created for you because you're special Africans. We call it the CFA. There was the Central African CFA and the Western African CFA, same animal. And that France is the only one that can print it for you. 1958. Fast forward. They're still printing it for us. And if you start misbehaving, they just stop printing your money. And your country's in trouble. They also said your language of instruction shall be French, whether you like it or not. That France will have military presence in your country. That your military can only be trained by France. That you can only buy military equipment from France. That you cannot have any military alliance with your neighbor. And that in the event of war, your allegiance is only to France. And furthermore, because they have military presence in your country, they can invade you without notice should they feel that the interests of France in your country are being violated.
Teach, sister, teach. Speak on, sister.
Fast forward, 2019, nothing has changed. The same people who have the audacity to tell us that we are poor countries, they are taking trillions out of Africa every year. And then one might say, why is it that African leaders haven't done anything about this deplorable situation? Well, let me tell you, my brother and sister, they have tried. Documented to this day, 22 coups where leaders were assassinated. France had something to do with it. The first 7, when they decided they were pulling out of the CFA and that they're going to print their own money, they were assassinated. Every time an African leader has tried to do what's best for their country, they were assassinated. Majority of them aided by France. It's a known fact. And then others, they were just mercenaries who felt that when there was a natural resource discovered in one country, they wanted to create a coup. So while the country is thrown into a civil war, they're siphoning the natural resource. We know of one particular story that had we not known about it, it would have been, oh, there we go again, the Africans. In about 25 years ago, a group of young, rich white kids were having fun in Cape Town. They found out that there was oil in Equatorial Guinea that just been discovered and they wanted it. So they set out a plan to have a coup in Equatorial Guinea. So while the Guineans are busy fighting a civil war, they will be siphoning the oil. But they made one mistake. There were 2 planes. One was to leave South Africa, stop in Zimbabwe, pick up more ammunition on their way to hunt in Equatorial Guinea. Another plane was taking off in the Caribbean that had this puppet diaspora who was supposed to be the next president. Mugabe wondered why such young people needed such powerful ammunition to go hunt in Equatorial Guinea. In doing his research further, he found out that this was a coup in the making. He allowed them to land in Zimbabwe. They loaded their plane, and just before takeoff, they were all arrested. The ringleader of that group was none other than the son of the former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Margaret Thatcher. She had to fly to Zimbabwe and paid handsomely to get her son out. The last one of those prisoners left Zimbabwe about 6-7 years ago. Had these young people succeeded,
say France, Nigeria wanted to go to war with Niger, if not because of the northern leaders that were saying, no, most of our family are in Niger, we are married to Nigerian, and those people, we coexist together. Bombasting these people is like we are buying our own children, because most of our women are married to their men, most of their men are married to our women, so it's like we are buying our people. That was the reason, only reason that they did not allow President Tinubu to invade Niger when that coup happened. Now, all of this, France is heading Nigeria to head other country not to allow coup to happen. For one reason, resources. Resources, 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 resources. Anyway, I will head my own video here. I still know that there are people that support Bola Ahmed Tinubu in no matter what he do, how he did it, as long that, hey, he remains power. Don't be so surprised though, because this one that France and Nigeria are like this. Don't be so surprised that Tinubu will say that 4 years is no longer enough for him to rule this country. He will increase it. Don't be so surprised. Everything is possible under this current president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Don't be so surprised. It will come like something. But let's just wait in 2026 and see the new law, so that we say, oh, there's no election in 2027. Let's just make sure that I just do my first 8 years. Then it's gonna increase it to 7 years, 1 tenure. Or 10 years, 1 tenure. Don't worry. When it happened, I will remind you of this particular video. Anyway, I rest my case here. What's your thoughts about this video you just watched? Do you think that the Burkina Faso did the wrong thing for seizing Nigeria military aircraft? Do you think they did the right thing because Nigeria have sanctioned them that they don't want to see anything that have to do with Burkina Faso or other region of coup d'etat in any ECOWAS region? And the Sahel people also said, we don't also want to see you guys. So these people are completely cut off. Some, because of these things that happen. They don't supply them oil, they don't supply them electricity, they don't even supply anything. They close their border and engage these people. Please, I rest my case here. Subscribe. I beg you, take me to that 200,000. I know you guys have been doing it. We have gotten 10,000 subscribers so far, remaining 40,000. I know you guys can do it to make it 200,000 subscribers on my YouTube. I love you guys. Until we meet again. Peace out.